Evening all, welcome to Kicking Dust. The astute among you will realise that was a picture of 9 kings. Famous picture. Anyway, let's talk CPM. What you see passing before your eyeballs right now is I think a relatively up-to-date, probably a few mistakes, list of people who are interested, or rather have nominated themselves to run for CPM. And it's an interesting list. You're sat there waiting for me to rip these guys apart. You're waiting for me to go at them like an angry, crazed stoat of doom. Well, next time. We'll do that next time. Let's talk about maybe just the beginnings of what is going to be quite a long process, I suspect. Quite a few names there. Many I've never heard of. Many I should probably have heard of, so that's maybe my problem. And many that maybe shouldn't be running. This is going to get trolly. I'm not really going to pass judgment at all yet. I think really I'm more curious to see who certainly runs for it, and then really we're going to talk today about maybe the character and the behaviors that are required for CPM1. And I think let's just get straight to the point. Ego is driving a lot of these people to run, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually very normal. Most city traders, city bankers are egotistical people who want to dominate people somehow, and so therefore being able to financially dominate them is part of what they do. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. I would suspect that sometimes ego and certainly hubris can actually end up causing damage to the thing that you're trying to do. So for example, the best candidate is probably a reluctant candidate who maybe doesn't really have a great ego, but certainly wants the game to succeed. That is kind of what I would say personally is the best candidate, in my opinion. I think the worst candidate is somebody who just wants to get into the CPM so they can have some form of affinity with CCP. A lot of people will also just do the whole CPM or CSM thing because they want to work for CCP as well. Now, let me just tell you let me just tell you a good story from my past. A friend of mine, decent guy, who's actually currently very ill, so he's really quite sad, but he's a gifted mechanic, very clever guy. And he got the opportunity to go and work for Subaru, and he worked on the rally team for Subaru back in the day when Subaru were actually good at rallying. And Richard Burns and I think Colin McRae were on his team at the time. Unfortunately, both have now who've passed, which is again very sad. But he seemed to be living his dream, okay? And I remember meeting up with him for a drink, and I guess I didn't know him terribly well, but he was, he was a friend of a friend, more or less to say, but he was a really nice guy. And one day, he was sat in the pub, and we were all kind of saying, look, dude, you've got the dream job, we want your job, bro. And he just turned to me and he said, you know what, don't mix your hobby and your career. Okay, and I remember those words struck into my soul because I think he's right, and I think a lot of people sometimes forget that. I have the most boring career in the world, but it pays me well, and it gives me the ability to do the life I want, and that's why I will actually quite happily do a relatively uninteresting job, but it pays me well. And I think that's kind of the thing, is that you do have to sort of say, where is your hobby and where is your career? And I think, and again, to get to the point, a lot of people basically want to get into the CPM and the CSM because they want to work for a gaming company, and CCP is obviously their passion at the moment. It's very difficult to kind of critique that, because sometimes that's where the best talent comes from, is somebody who knows their stuff and then goes into the career, let's say. But I think that has to be a decision made with experience behind you. I think too often most people just leave school and the first thing they want to do is they want to go and work for Nintendo. And I think it's a quite a lofty goal, it's quite a lofty dream, and I think sometimes it's wrong. And I think the CPM thing is very akin to this, if I may be as bold as I may be. I think a lot of people are just thinking that the CPM thing will give them, access to CCP. It will probably mean a job, maybe it will be some, it will just give their life meaning. Because at the moment it's a hard time for most, and I think it's a pretty horrible, pretty uninteresting time for all. And I think CPM is going to be a difficult thing anyway, because let's look at this game objectively. This game has got to grow, or it is done. And I think that is the truth of the matter. And I think certainly what Rouge, and I imagine everyone else, is trying to do, is to try and turn this game around, not in terms of how it's going, because it is a success, let's be clear on that, but it just needs more people playing it. Like any business, you know, I mean, the most successful business in the world never takes their foot off the accelerator, so let's be very clear on that. And it's just that desire to keep going. And I think with the CPM, I think the CPM1 is going to be just critical. CPM0 was a kind of, I don't know, proxy CPM. It wasn't elected, it was just picked from people of the community, and that was fine. It did the job it needed to do, and I think they did a great job. I really do. I know I kind of slandered and slated them a bit, but I think in reality, now you see under the hood, you do realize they actually have been pivotal in this game. And I think CPM1 is going to be even more pivotal. So, you know, the names you just saw, I think they have a bit of a responsibility about them to really, I think, save this game. And I think anybody going into this with an ego and saying, you know, oh well, I'm best at this game, my KD's this, and I play 20 hours a day, blah blah. Well, are you going to objectively save this game? Okay, it's a question for you. All of those candidates, question for you. Are you honestly going to objectively save the game over your reputation? Is this for you? Is this so you can have a CPM tag? Is this so you can play the game when, you know, the game before, a month before everybody else? Is this so you can basically just get a little bit of a discussion point with CCP? If so, don't run. Please don't run, because you can do that without having to go through the rigmarole of running for CPM. You can just be, what is it, an A-lister? Just be somebody on the forum of note. Don't be a troll. Just be somebody who the people like Saberwing look to for your opinions. If you post, he'll go to your post. If you're a dick, he won't, and that's the simple truth of it. And I think if you have that kind of, I guess, drive to make the game better, to really push it forward and change it, then good on you. I would also say, ask yourself this: are you willing to be the dick? I was actually asked this when I took my job currently. He said, right, can you be an arsehole? That's literally what I was told in an interview, and the HR person shuffled uncomfortably. But that's the truth. I was told that, can you be an arsehole? And I said, I think I could maybe manage it, as I did a wry smile and I quipped and picked up my coffee cup. I think that is true of CPM as well. A lot of people on that list, well, let's say a number of people on that list, I would categorize as not being particularly aggressive, not being particularly, I don't know, what's the word? I think focused is the word I will choose to use, because they're generally seen as quite nice people, and I think they would just, whatever CCP says, they will just dance like a little puppy on their hind legs saying, yep, great idea. And I think that is even worse than people who are in it for ego. Do you know, it's the old thing of, you know, what's more dangerous, a corrupt policeman or a negligent policeman? And the simple answer is a negligent policeman every fucking day, because the corrupt one knows what they're doing wrong. So I honestly think if some of those people on that list are just going to go in with a view to kind of, oh, I'll work with CCCPOP, etc., then you're probably not suitable either. I mean, seriously, I do mean that, because too many people will just sit and roll over and say, oh, CCP is so cool, oh my god, that's such a great idea. What's that, mechs with flower shooters with little bows on their head? Yeah, I like that. Seriously, don't, because we need people who are going to be in the East End. We would say we need people with a bit of an arse about them, and I think that's kind of what we need. We don't need people who are just going to be yes men. We also need well-rounded players. So let me pose you a third question, my CCP, sorry, my CPM wannabe brothers. Can you actually play the whole game? Okay, quite an important one. Actually, can you play this whole game? Or are you just very good with maybe, I don't know, a Caldari assault suit and a Devol assault rifle? Or, are you very good with maybe just the Scrambler rifle? Is that all you do? And I think if you find yourself saying, well, generally I want to be, let me be clear on this. If you come to the podium saying, I want to be the tank guy, you're already done. CCP have already said this. They do not want specialists. This, the community came up with that bullshit, and CCP do not want specialists, they want generalists. Okay, let's be very clear on that point, because the worst thing you will do is you will say, well, I'm going to be the infantry guy and I'm going to know everything about infantry. It's fine to specialize, but if you don't know everything, if if you're just somebody who has a one-trick pony and you always run tanks, you always run, I don't know, a particular gun, you always run a particular heavy, whatever it may be, if that's all you do, then perhaps you are not suitable either. Contentious stuff, I know, but I want really people to understand that if you go for CPM1, people like me and others are going to be critical of why you are. And I think a lot of the time, the way to kind of ruin your chances is just to say you're just a one-trick pony who wants the cape of CPM. That's all you want, and then you're pretty much in tatters. Your reputation suffers, and then you're unlikely to win. And I think these are the three questions, in essence. In conclusion, these are the three questions that I would ask anybody. And I think you yourselves have to ask yourselves: are you suitable for CPM? Okay. Now, I'm not trying to dissuade you. I'm not trying to, sort of talk shit to you. I think, honestly, a lot of the people on that list are going to they'll do well and they'll be good CPMs. But there's also people on that list that I don't think are suitable. And we will maybe explore that further as the race hots up. But hopefully you enjoyed that. And I think certainly these are the questions that inquiring minds need to know.